we have a crisis in the world, tremendous crisis, and also crisis in our consciousness, in us. I see the urgency of change, radical revolution, mutation in the mind. I see it. It is necessary. There is complete quietness of the mind, and that which is silent has vast space. Only then that which is nameless comes into being.
This is Urgency of Change, the Krishnamurti podcast. The problem is you. The problem, the crisis, the challenge is in you, and you have to reply adequately. You are the world. Hello and welcome to episode 267 of Urgency of Change. Each fortnightly episode of the Krishnamurti podcast is based on a significant theme of Krishnamurti's talks. Extracts from the archives have been selected to represent his different approaches to these universal and timelessly relevant themes. This episode's theme is You Are the World. Upcoming themes are movement, respectability and thinking. This is a podcast from Krishnamurti Foundation Trust based at Brockwood Park in the UK, which is also home to the Krishnamurti Retreat Centre. Situated in the beautiful countryside of the South Downs National Park, the Krishnamurti Centre offers retreats individually and in groups. The focus is on inquiry in light of Krishnamurti's teachings. Please visit krishnamurticentre.org.uk for more information, including our volunteer programme. You can also find our regular Krishnamurti quotes and videos on Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review or rating on your podcast app. This episode on You Are the World has 3 sections. This first extract is from Krishnamurti's first talk in Madras 1977 and is titled, "It is an absolute, irrevocable fact that you are the world."
First of all, we must understand each other very clearly. The speaker wants to tell you something. To him that is very, very important. And being important, it's very serious. Not casual seriousness, but persistent and continuous seriousness. Because we are going to investigate that wherever one goes, no matter what country, what type of person, be it scientists, philosophers, so-called religious leaders, businessmen, the sannyasi, the monk, and those who are disciples of these people. There's a common factor throughout the world is that human beings suffer, uncertain, in agony, in despair, lonely, anxious, frightened. And that is the common factor. If you really observe, whether you may call yourself a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Christian, or this or that, but behind that screen of words one is anxious, one is frightened. There is no happiness. There's constant struggle, bringing about great self-importance, self-centered activity. This is the common factor. So, you are the world, and the world is you. Right? Not, please understand this, not as words or theories, but as an actuality. That is, if you look at yourself, and I hope you will see how extraordinarily complicated your life is. How extraordinarily uncertain it is. There's always anxiety, jealousy, confusion, misery. This is a fact. This is what is actual. All the theories about them, what you should do about them, how to deal with them, are all unnecessary. As long as you live in the world of theories, as I'm afraid most Hindus do, that's a marvelous escape. As long as you are dealing with theories, you will never face the actual. When you do face the actual, then you realize that you are like the rest of the world. And that brings you an extraordinary sense of communion. You understand this? That is when you know that you are suffering and your neighbor also is suffering. Whether the neighbor is next door, a few feet away, or 1,000 miles away, then there is a certain sense of being together. Haven't you noticed all these things? And so, non-verbally, non-theoretically, but actually, as a fact, that there is this microphone, it's a fact. There is the tree, it's a fact. And in the same way, it's an absolute, irrevocable fact that you are the world and the world is you. Do you see this? Do you see the actuality of it? Not the theory of it. There is no theory. Theory is when you listen to a statement like that, which is that you are the world and the world is you, you make an abstraction of it. You understand what you mean by abstraction? I'll show you. That is, you listen to that word, those words, you don't quite understand or agree with it, or you don't want to agree with it because you like to feel that you are extraordinarily separate. Therefore, you make an abstraction of it, which is to make it into an idea, and then theorize about that idea. You understand? Let's argue back and forth, invent new theories, and so on, so on, so on. which is away from the fact. Right? We are understanding each other? So, please do not make an abstraction of it. Make it into an idea. But see the fact only, the actuality. The word actual means to that which is taking place now. The word actual means that which is happening now. What is happening now is this extraordinary common factor of every human being. When you realize that, not as a theory which you accept or reject, but something which is fearfully actual, then your whole attitude towards life changes. Then you are not alone. Because you are like the rest of humanity, which means you as a human being represent the totality of all humanity. You understand this? You as a human being are the representative of all humanity. Because you suffer, you cry, you're frightened, you want pleasure, you're seeking God and not knowing if there is God, belief, rituals that have no meaning. So you are like the rest of it, the Christians. If you go to a church and there are a lot of words, meaningless words, symbols, and inwardly, the monk, the sannyasi, you, everyone is burning with a desire, with pain, with sorrow. So, that's the first thing to understand. That you are the world and the world is you. If that is so, not if. I withdraw that word. That is so. Then, the next question is it possible to change, to transform that which is? You understand? That is, human beings throughout the world, from childhood, get hurt psychologically. You're aware of, obviously. You're hurt. You're hurt by your parents, by comparing you with somebody else. Please follow all this, because it's your life. Because we're going to see whether it's possible at all to wipe away all this fact and have a brain which is pristine, a brain that is never damaged, never deformed. We are going to go that it is possible. I'll show it to you. But you must also have energy to do it. Passion, the urge to find out. So as we were saying, every human being right throughout the world, from their childhood, psychologically are wounded. Aren't you? Wounded through comparison, through imitation, through conformity. All those are the instruments of getting hurt and more. Now, please see, a brain that has been hurt psychologically can never act freely. Therefore, it can never act rightly, accurately, precisely. Right? Please see the fact. That is, if I am hurt, because somebody said I must be like my elder brother, some idiotic teacher tells me that, at home or in the school, says I must be. So, and I try, make an effort. And throughout life that goes on, right? You are being hurt, and the consequences of being hurt is that you resist, that you build a wall around yourself. Or you listen, or you do, are you being aware of all this as I'm talking? Otherwise we can't communicate. This is very important for you to understand. Because a psyche, a human mind that is hurt, therefore distorted, and its activities will become neurotic, violent. So, you are hurt, and the consequences is you resist, you build a wall around yourself, you gradually become more and more lonely, withdraw, and from that you act. Therefore, your action is distorted. Your action then is violent, and so on. Now, the question is, if you are at all aware of being hurt, see the consequences of it, the result in your human relationship, which therefore you can if you are hurt, you will never have a relationship with another. Right? So, that is a common factor of every human being right throughout the world. Now, since you are the world and the world is you, is it possible for you to be free of hurt? You understand my question? Huh? Have we gone together so far? That it's very important for a human being not to be hurt at all. Right? Now, what is hurt? Please examine. What is hurt? And who is hurt? I say I'm hurt. When you call me a fool, I'm hurt. When you say anything that is contrary to what I think, or what I have an image about myself, that image gets hurt. Right? Right? Do you see this? Actually see it. Please, for your own sake, just observe it. Obviously, each one has an image about himself. Right? That you are clever or not clever, that you have a certain status. You know, I don't have to go into all that. You have an image about yourself. So that image is challenged and gets hurt. Right? And is it possible not to be hurt at all? You know, how can you love somebody if you are hurt? You understand? How can you have sympathy, care, affection when you are hurt and frightened to be hurt more? So it's very important to be free of hurt, which means to be free of the image which you have about yourself. The image may be conclusions, opinions. Your perception of yourself as being somebody or not being somebody. So can you, please listen, can you live without any image at all? Do you understand what that means? To have no image about yourself. That doesn't mean that you are lost, that you become insecure, uncertain. On the contrary, when you have an image about yourself, that image creates uncertainty. That image denies security. So that is the first thing in realizing in our human behavior. We are talking about human behavior in our daily life. Because that's the only life you have. Not the theoretical life, whether Brahman exists or what Shankara said or some other philosophers said. They're all worthless. They have no meaning at all. What has meaning is what you are. What you are actually doing. Whether you are suffering, anxiety, all the rest of it.
The second extract is from the third talk in New Delhi, 1963, and is titled, "There is no division between the world and you."
No problem is separate. They're all interrelated. Whether it's an economic problem or your personal, individual problem, they are related. And we do not know how to understand this extraordinary relationship of each problem and not try to find an answer to a problem as a thing apart. Then we need not a mind that is integrated, a mind that is in fragmentation, and put together as an integration. There is no such thing as integration. A thing cannot be integrated. A thing that's broken up. What is demanded is a new mind. Not the approach of the old mind with all its superstitions, fears, dogmas, nationalities, authorities, traditions. There must be a new mind which sees the relationship of every problem with another problem, an interrelated comprehension of the whole. And a problem cannot be answered. There is no answer to our human problems, perhaps economically, technologically, but psychologically, there is no answer. Because the answer is in the problem itself, how we understand it, how we approach it, what we do, how we act with that problem. And a mind that seeks an answer, it is a solution to this extraordinary human psychological complex problem. There is no answer. What we have to do is to understand it, to investigate it, to go into it with all our being, and to go into it completely, totally. You cannot approach it with a fragmentary mind, a mind that has divided life into the worldly, economic world and the spiritual world. The mind that avoids the one and goes after the other. Denies the one and accepts the other. It is the old mind that does this. The mind that's so conditioned, that has not found the answer, that has not understood the problem. And the problem is you. The problem, the crisis, the challenge is in you. And you have to reply adequately. You are the world. And how you, as a human being, not as an Indian, a Sikh or a Muslim or a Christian, those are all too dated. They have no meaning anymore. It's how you, as a human being, respond to this. So, the world is really you, whether you accept it or not, whether you like it or not. And if you merely try to answer all these extraordinary problems as though separate, independent, or approach it from a nationalistic, from a class point, you will not reply adequately to this extraordinary challenge. You need a new mind. A new way of thinking, a new way of feeling, a new way of being. And I would like this evening to go into that. But before I go into it, each one of us must see the necessity of this, of the denying of the old mind, of putting away the old mind. You cannot put away something unless you completely, totally understand it. See the implications involved in it. You cannot destroy the old mind and grope after the new mind. You have to understand the old mind. But to understand, you must give your attention. And this attention will bring about a revolution, a mutation in the mind itself. You don't have to do a thing. Only you must give your complete attention. So, our question is, not only the freedom of the old, but in freeing the mind of the old, what is important is the manner, the way that it is done. I hope this is very clear between you and me, that we are trying to understand the problem of existence with all its ramifications, with all its fragments. There must be a total answer. Not a political answer, not a sociological, scientific. There must be a total answer. And if you try to answer it partially, our problems will increase 1,000 times. So there must be a total approach. So that this approach can bring about naturally, without effort, without conflict, a tremendous mutation in the whole of consciousness itself. So that is our problem. That is the central issue with which you are confronted. So if that is clear between you and the speaker, that we are not dealing with any particular single isolated problem of human existence, but we are concerned with putting away the old mind and thereby bringing about the new mind. The new mind, which is not a mind put together by us, by our travail, by our misery, by our anxiety, despair, and agony. We have to understand all these agonies, despairs, conflicts, miseries, confusion. And the way you understand, the way you approach that complex psychological structure of a human being, and out of that understanding comes the new mind. There is no new mind if you are ambitious, greedy, envious, superstitious, ignorant. So we have to understand the fact as it is, not the idea, not the inquiry what the new mind is, and speculate endlessly about that. Because we are concerned with a deep psychological revolution. An explosion at the very root of our being. Because everything around us has failed. all the religions, the education, nationalities, economic societies, everything that man has put together brings more misery, more confusion. This is obvious. So what we need, not eventually, but now, in the present, in the active daily living, there we need a tremendous revolution, a mutation. So, if that thing is clearly seen by each one of us, then our question arises, how is a mind that is crippled with the old, how is it to slough it off? How is it to put it away easily without any effort, without any struggle? So, the problem then is it possible for a mind that has been so conditioned, brought up in innumerable sects and religions and all the superstitions, fears, can such a mind break away from itself and thereby bring about a new mind? I hope I am putting the question clearly. The old mind is essentially the mind that is bound by authority. I am using the word authority not in a legalistic sense, but authority as tradition, authority as knowledge, authority as experience, authority as the means of finding security and remaining in that security, outwardly or inwardly. Because after all, that's what the mind is always seeking. A place where it can be secure, undisturbed. Whether it is the self-imposed authority of an idea or the religious idea of a God, which has no reality to a religious person. Merely an idea is not a fact, it's a fiction. God is a fiction. You may believe in it, but it's still a fiction. But to find God, you must completely destroy fiction. Because this is the old mind. The mind that's frightened. The mind that's ambitious, fearful of death, of living, of relationship. Because it's always consciously or unconsciously seeking a permanency, a security. So, that's the old mind. And I'm going to go into that. Now, I am going into it verbally. Naturally, that's the only means of communicating between It's the speaker and you to use words. But if you twist the words, if you interpret the words to suit your own convenience, to your own fiction, to your own myth, then communication immediately ceases. Because you are moved away into a realm of your particular fancy, of your particular ideas. So, as the speaker is going to it, you have to listen not only to the word, but also listen to the meaning of that word, the meaning of that word which has for you, how you react to that word. Please follow all this. How you react to that word and how you deal with the thing that word awakens in you. You understand? I hope I'm making myself clear. Because I'm going to go into something rather complex. Verbally complex. And therefore, most of us being intellectually, verbally very complicated, very clever, will translate it into intellectual terminology, concepts, and leave it there. But what the speaker proposes is something entirely different. That he proposes that you, when you leave this place, have completely understood the whole significance of what he's saying. And in the very act of understanding, you're free of it. You're free from the things that are destroying, from a mind that is dead, crippled, corrupt, which cannot possibly understand the new. If you observe, there is ever increasing knowledge. More and more information. We are the entities made up of knowledge, which is memory. We are not so sharp, clear, quick as the electronic brains, but we function along that same process, in the same field. We are a bundle of memories and nothing else. Don't say, are we not the Atman, the super soul? You are not. Those are just words. They have no meaning. Somebody has told you that, and you repeat it, which is still a form of memory. So we are a bundle of memories. That is the fact. Now, what has knowledge, what is the relationship of knowledge to freedom? How far knowledge is essential towards freedom? Is knowledge opposed to ignorance? And what is ignorance? And this freedom, if there is such thing? Does it come from knowledge? So we are first going to understand what we mean by that word, ignorance. For the speaker, ignorance essentially means not the lack of book knowledge, that anybody can learn how to read and write and go to the office, go to the factory. I'm using the word ignorance in the sense of having no knowledge of the whole psychological structure of himself. Not knowing yourself. Please listen carefully. Not knowing yourself. Not knowing the Atman. That is, a man who repeats the word Atman is telling a lie because he does not know what it means. What you know is yourself, your bundle of memories. And it's no good repeating what 10,000 million people have said. You have to find out. And to find out, you must inquire. And to inquire, you must have freedom. And not everlastingly repeat what the Gita, the Bible, or the Quran, or some of your gurus say. It has no meaning anymore. Probably it never had, except for those people who want to avoid, escape, bypass living with all its problems. The man who bypasses existence, living, the actual present, is not a religious man at all. He may go to all the gurus, to all the ashramas, to every religion. He's not a religious man. The religious man has the new mind. The new mind that has no fear, not ambitious. That is without conflict. So, ignorance is the lack of self-knowing. The self, I mean, the self that functions every day. Not this big self with a big capital S. The self that goes to the office, that worries, that is greedy, that is afraid of death and of living. The thing that seeks, gropes after, that suffers, that is in conflict, that is agonizes over things, that doesn't care. It is that self. Without knowing that self, trying to find out what the Supreme Self is sheer nonsense. That is fiction for a man who does not know himself. So to know, not to know this bundle of memories, both the conscious as well as the unconscious, the totality of his being, that person is ignorant. Now, to understand this person, this being, is to understand the whole structure of his memories and responses according to that memory. To observe, to be aware, to watch. You see, most of us don't want to do that. We would rather go to somebody and be told what to do. This requires to watch yourself, attention. This requires infinite love to watch yourself. You understand? Love. Not chastisement, not condemnation, not evaluation. It requires love so that you watch out of that extraordinary clarity. Just to observe, just to see. So, and most of us, no, as all of us, are a bundle of memories, and adding every day to that bundle, more and more. What is the relationship of that bundle, which is the creator of problems, to the thing that it seeks, which is freedom? Because you must be free. That is absolutely essential. Otherwise you can never discover it. And this freedom is not a reaction to bondage. It is not freedom from something. If it is a freedom from something, it's a reaction, and therefore not freedom. If I am free from pride, and I know I am free from pride, it is not freedom from pride. Freedom is something that cannot be cultivated, that cannot be sought. It comes with an extraordinary vitality, with a fury, with an intensity. Only when you begin to understand your whole psychological structure of yourself. So that is the issue. Because you are the world. You have to act. You have to think, you have to feel. In a world that is undergoing tremendous changes, that is made corrupt by the politicians and by the religious people. I am using the word religious in the wrong sense of the word. That is made ugly by the saints, by this organized religious dogmas, beliefs. Those are not religious people at all. This world is made ugly by them, and we live in that world. And we have to understand that world. And to understand, you must observe. And observation is not the world outside you, because the world outside you is the you inside as world, the observer. There is no division between the world and you. You are the world. So, how you observe yourself is of the highest importance. This observation of yourself is not isolating yourself from the world. Please do understand this. You are the world. The world in which you are born, in which you are educated, the family, the social, psychological structure of the society about you, the economic conditions in which you live, which shapes your mind, your thought, your feeling. So you as a human being have to understand this. in the process of understanding, in the very act of understanding, the new is born. So, how do you observe yourself? What is observation? And what do you observe? And who is the observer? You follow my question? You have to observe. Obviously, that is essential. You have to see. Because when you see, you begin to care. You understand? If you see the dirty road, if you really see the starvation, the poverty, the depredation, the corruption in this country, if you really saw it, you would kill it. You would act. But you don't care because you don't see. And when you do see, you want some social action to take place, and therefore you wait. So, to see is to care. To observe is to love. I am using the word love totally as a total thing, not divine love and sexual love, personal love, those are all mere ideas. We are not dealing with ideas. We are dealing with fact. If you observe a dog, then you will begin to love that dog. If you observe your children, then you will begin to love those children. Not your particular children, children. Then you will watch. You will watch intensely, completely. When they are sleeping, waking, crying, being naughty, doing things, then you will watch. So in the same way, when you observe yourself, you will care. You understand? Now you begin to understand. I hope I'm making myself. You will care what you observe. Therefore, you will not condemn what you see. You're following? You'll say, I'm ugly, I'm beautiful, I am this, I am that. You won't say that. Because then you will care what you're watching. Therefore, when you watch, when you so observe, then you will say that you are observing without condemning, without bringing all the past experience into your mind, which either accepts or denies what you observe. You're following all this. You see, sir, we don't know what it means to love. We don't. We beget children, we are married, we have families, but we don't know what it means to love. If we loved, if there was love, care, then we'll find ways and means to fill the stomach of the poor, build houses, do something so drastically independent of these ugly politicians with their words. We don't know what it means to love. And love cannot come to you if you do not understand yourself. And that is the only solution in the world, to care profoundly.
The third and final extract in this episode is from the third talk in Bombay 1977 and is titled The Stream of Continuity.
So what is our daily living, right? Which is what is our daily living as a human being with our consciousness. Our consciousness, as we said, is the content, which is fear, anxiety, pleasure, sorrow, the great many insults, wounds that one receives, and the desire for power, position, prestige, money, sex, all that is our consciousness. That consciousness, with its content, is you, with your religions, with your beliefs, with your superstitions, with your pujas, rituals, all that. That's your daily life. Daily life with your wife and children, the quarrels, the nagging, the domination, the possessive attachment, and the fear of losing, the fear of loneliness, right? All that is your daily grind, the mill, the rat race. Right? That's your life. And you want to find out what happens after death. You haven't understood this life, the living, daily life, and you want to find out what happens after death, right? So, we're asking you first, look at your daily life. Can that be transformed? Can your fears end? Can your anxieties, your uncertainties, your beliefs, all that end? That's what's going to happen when you die, right? When you actually die, when you're no longer breathing, that's what's going to happen. You are no longer, there is no longer the family, no longer the money, no longer the worries of position, power, everything ends. Right? Actually, the brain cells without oxygen ends. You've understood? That is what we call ending. That is what we call death. The death of something which has had a continuity. You understand? A continuity. The continuity from childhood, school, college, learning, job, work, and sex, pleasure, fears, and all that is a continuity of your life. That is your life, which is a continuous movement, repetition, modifications, and all that. And that ends. The ending of that is most frightening for you, right? You followed the ending of something which you call a continuity of existence. That existence is confusion, is misery, without any love, without any, all the rest of beauty. Now, we are saying something else, which is, please listen and do it. Then you will find out what it means. to invite death while living. You understand? Not commit suicide, but to invite death, which means end to your continuity of your worries, of your fears, you follow? That means to live with death daily. Therefore, no attachment. Attachment isn't love. To end your worries. Now, not tomorrow, because death says, I can't wait for you. Don't argue with me. There's no time. It comes, so invite it. Therefore, live with it. That means living and dying together. You understand what I'm saying? That means a life of no registration except that which is absolutely necessary. No psychological registration at all, except that which is essential for daily living, that is technological knowledge and all that. Can you do this? No, you can't. Why? Because to you, the misery, the confusion, the violence, sorrow is much better, much more worthwhile than something you don't know. So to you, what is important is knowledge. Knowledge of your suffering, not the ending of suffering, not the ending of attachment, not the ending of your daily compulsive desires. So we are asking, in the investigation of this enormous question, what is death? The death is inevitable. It may take years, or it may happen tomorrow. And there is sudden ending of this continuity. So, realizing that, acting with care, with affection, live with death. That means no attachment whatsoever to anything. You understand, sir? To your name, to your fame, to your power, to your position, nothing. It's not difficult. It's very easy if you really want to do it. And with the ending of that which is continuous, the ending, there is a new beginning. Without ending, there is no beginning. I know you'll all agree, you'll all say it's marvelous, perfect. But you'll go home and you will carry on with your ugly life. And that's where there is sorrow. You understand, sir? There is sorrow knowing that you can end it and you won't end it. That's a great sorrow. Then what happens if you don't end it? You understand? You've understood my question? You don't end it. What happens when you die? Now you are very interested, aren't you? I'll show you what happens to you. First of all, please realize something fundamentally. Realize it. Have an insight into it. That you are not separate from the rest of human beings. You are the history of human beings. In you is you are the repository of all human history. Therefore, you are the world. Because go where you will, they suffer, they have anxiety, they have fears, they are confused, like you. So the world is you, you are the world. That's a fact, psychological fact, whether you like it or not. You are not individuals. Because individual means a human being who is not divided in himself, indivisible. So, that is a basic psychological fact that you are the world and the world is you. So what happens to a man or a woman who doesn't end this continuity? You understood my question? What happens to you if you don't end your sorrow? You being a human being, like the rest of the world, they may have a different name, different face, different pigmentation, a superficial culture, which is no culture. So you are the world and the world is you. If that stream of continuity, which is you, doesn't end, what happens? It goes on, doesn't it? Right? It must go on. And the manifestation of that stream, please listen, the manifestation of that stream is a newborn baby with a name and a form, who is equally, as he grows up, greedy, envious, seeking power, position, right? So the manifestation of the stream is you. And when you step out of that stream, there is a totally different kind of life. That life, which is timeless, which has immense beauty, which is the essence of compassion. Nobody can give it to you. No system, no guru, no book will give it to you. You, as a human being, have to step out of this vast current, vast river of suffering. Then you might ask, what is immortality? Right? That means that which never dies. Right? As long as a human being in this stream, that immortality, which is the essence of timelessness, the essence of timelessness, you can never comprehend. Because that thing must flower, give you, that comes, but it will not come to a man who is involved in the stream. You understood? So there is a benediction for him who steps out of that stream, because he knows what death is while living.